Okay, this video is going to take you through the answers to Chapter 2S assignment, what you can do here. We're going to do this in 3 sections. First section here, you can see if your answers are correct. If they're not, then you can proceed and try to find the explanation for that particular one that you missed. And then otherwise, if you got them all right so far, then you can just move on to the next section and check your answers there. So this is how we will proceed. So in this first one, we are looking at the named constants. And so here's the key thing you got to make sure you have. Final is necessary to have. That tells the compiler that this memory location should not be changed, or cannot be changed actually, throughout the rest of the program. Also, make sure that your months in year variable name is, or memory location name should be in all caps, and in between each word should be an underscore. That would be the conventional way to name a named constant. Okay, for B, then we have final again. You got to have final, and then you capitalize the P and the I. Everything else is the same. All right, number 2. Again, we got to have the word final. Make sure string is capitalized. The variable name has all caps. And if there's multiple words in it, make sure you have underscores. And also make sure that you have the quotation marks, because this is a string. So must have the quotation marks. All right, let's take a look at the next section. All right, so here's the answer to number 3. And so if you do need an explanation, this is how we will go. So what happens is, for the capital D, you see is up here. This is the only capital D there is. There is not an O after it. So we can only do one character in this particular case. So that's why we use the char at, because it produces the one character from the position 0 in this case. So char at mascot, or mascot.char at, and I just noticed something. All right, I had started the numbering numeric positions with 1 instead of 0. That could cause a problem. And so anyways, as we look at this, the 0 for the team mascot is a capital D. So that takes care of the D. And then the next thing is the O, which there's a couple places for O's. And so the best place would be, because it goes O-R-Y, would be to take this O-R-Y. But notice also that it has the space L and O and B after it. So we can take this whole section right here and make that into one string. And so we're going to do coach.substring. And then we're going to go from position 1, which is right here. And it's going to have 7 characters. 8 minus 1 is 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. That takes you to the V. So O-R-Y space L-O-V. All right, so then we, so that's all, this is this. Now the next thing is the E. Now there's only one E in here, and so that's at the, on West, and there is no S, or there is an S following it, but not a space. So we're going to be able to get 2 letters out of this one. And so that's going to be the division dot substring, and then starts at position 1, and it has 2 characters. 3 minus 1 is 2. So L-O-V, and then we're going to have then E-S. The next thing that has after the S is the space. Now there is no space and then a capital D, so we're only going to be able to pull one character, which is the space. So there are 2 places where you could get a space, either up here in the mascot or here in the coach. I'm going to pick the coach because it's fewer letters that it takes to get there. So we're going to do coach.char at 4, and 4 because this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the space is in position 4. And so that's this. So this is the space, then mascot, or then the next thing is a capital D, which is only one place, but there's no U following it. So we can, again, we can only do one character, so we'll use char at. So the mascot dot char at 0, position 0, the D is at the very first position, which is 0. So that takes care of the D. And then the U is another thing that there's only really one U, and there's not a C after it. So we can only do one letter again, or one character, so that's a char at again, which this is in position 8 for this U. All right, and so then the last one is the CKS, and so that happens to be at the very end of the mascot value, and so we are going to do the mascot.substring, and then we're going to pick 10, and then then that's it, because that means it's going to do the substring from position 10 all the way to the end, which it takes care of your C and K and S. All right, that's that one. Now the last one is, oops, right here. So there's the answers. If you got any of them incorrect, then you can scroll through until you get to that question to get the explanation. So basically, store the result in of this subtraction problem as a positive number. So in order to ensure a positive number, we need to use the absolute value, which is the math.abs. We'll put that difference, or that calculation of the difference, inside the parentheses as the argument. And now here's the thing. This is an int, and this is an int. So the answer in this case is going to be, or the result is going to be an int. So it returns an int. So that's why we call this int for num4. And so even though this is a subtraction that results in a negative number, the ABS will make it positive. Now to store the square root of num1 in num5. So here's num1. We put this in the SQRT method. And the thing is that it doesn't matter that num1 is an int. The point is that the square root function or method always returns a double. So no matter what is the argument. So that's why we got to use a double for num5. The third one, we're going to compare these values, num1 and num3, using math.max. There's also a math.min, which finds the lower value of these two. So num1 is an int, and num3 is a double. Because of that, since one of these, we'll call them operands, is a double, then that means that the result, or the return value of the max method, is going to be a double. Okay, even though num1 is larger than this an int, it doesn't matter. One of these is a double. So the return is going to be a double. Okay, and the last one, we are going to raise 15 to the 4th power. So we use the POW method. Now num1 is an int, and num2 is an int, but the POW then does take this 15, and this is 15 to the 4th power, but it always returns a double. It doesn't matter that they're both ints in here. And so make sure you don't have 15, 4. We want to always do a variable call for values that are being stored in variables or memory locations. All right, so that is it for this answer key.